Hello everybody, it's time to look at another old Commodore 64 game from my collection. This is one which unfortunately I no longer have the case or the inlay card for, but I do still have the cassette. And this is Trooper Truck, or possibly Troopa Truck, depending on who you ask. I'll explain more about that later. For the Commodore 64, released by Rabbit Software in 1983. And one thing that will strike you right away from this is, look at that rabbit, look. That's a rabbit with an attitude. Yeah, don't mess with me. Oh, I love you. That's the logo, obviously, for the company. A rabbit with attitude. And Trooper Truck was a game that I played quite a bit back in the day. Again, I think I didn't have a lot of games at the time, but this was one which I remember quite fondly. And if you do look at the inlay card, officially this game is called Troopa Truck, with a rather than ER, they've gone for a bit street, and it's Troopa Truck on the inlay card. But the cassette is Trooper Truck, and as you'll see when we start the game is also Trooper Truck. So I'd imagine it's officially called Trooper Truck, and for some reason when they were doing the inlay they decided to go a wee bit more street, maybe to go with the attitude of the rabbit and try to appeal to people that way. So standard machine, joystick or keyboard, Commodore 64, 1983. You'll notice as well this particular copy has been chewed by the family pet back in the day, which is, I don't know if you could actually manage to get this to run. I imagine you probably could. It doesn't look like the tapes. This is just the leader tape there that's been chewed. So even if you had to maybe take it out and put it into a new cassette, you could probably manage something with it. But we'll be emulating the game to have a look at it. So let's have a look at Trooper, or Troopa, depending on who you ask, Truck. And it's straight into the game. I don't know if that's something that the actual game did, or if this is something to do with the copy that I've downloaded, but straight into the game, no title screen. So if you're familiar with the old arcade game Moon Patrol, you probably see right away that Trooper Truck is basically a clone of Moon Patrol. As I mentioned earlier, when looking at Frogger 64, that's something that went on quite a bit at the time. It's just basically an unlicensed version of Moon Patrol. It's very similar in terms of where the enemies are, the way the game players. You can move your truck left and right a bit. You can jump, pushing up, and you can fire. And if you fire up and across at the same time. The screen's constantly scrolling, but like I say, you can move forwards and backwards a little bit to position yourself. And the game basically is just trying to avoid the boulders, the mines, the holes while shooting the enemies. As you progress, you'll notice that there's the scores on the left, the high scores on the right, and in between there's a number that goes up that shows what level you've got to, and the enemies change as you go through. And you'll come across new types of enemies as you go. So as you get a wee bit further, the mines start appearing, then there'll be new things start to appear, which we'll see as we go on. The music obviously is quite distinctive, and the clattering sound of the wheels. I quite like the music, but I can see that it could be something that might grate on you if you played it for a long time. I think you can turn the music off from the title screen. We'll see the title screen once you've lost the last life there, and the title screen now comes up, and you can see, as I say, it is Trooper Truck officially on the title screen. Now one of the things you can do is you can press C there. You'll notice we just start from the same level that we left off at, so that means that we can hopefully see some of the more advanced enemies as we go through the game. It is quite, it's quite fun. Obviously it is based on like I say, the Moon Patrol arcade game, so the basics of the game are fairly decent. And back at the time, this was one that I played quite a bit. You've got the parallax scrolling in the background. I mean, by obviously even late Commodore 64 standards, the graphics look pretty basic, but at the time when they're bright, they're colourful, the enemies are quite clear, you can see exactly what's going on, and this actually seemed like quite a good game at the time, believe it or not. Now as you keep going on, we'll come across the tank enemy, which is something I can remember quite well from back in the day. The instructions refer to this tank as the laser slammer tank. It's not just a tank, it's a laser slammer tank. And when I played this back in the day, it was quite, you try to get on one go to get up to the tank. Here it is, you need to get up to about level 15 or so before the tank starts appearing. It makes the game quite a bit more interesting, that suddenly you get a different type of enemy appearing, and it gets a bit more exciting, things change. And this is just basically how the game works. At first you get the tank on its own, and the tank will keep appearing, but you'll also get other obstacles. It just makes it a bit more difficult, and that's just basically the gameplay of the arcade machine as well. It's based on, as you progress, new enemies appear, and eventually I think it just kind of wraps round. So I'll keep playing it for a bit. Like I said, from playing it back in the day, this is kind of all I can remember. But I'll keep playing it for a bit more and see if I can find any other different kinds of enemies, or if this is it. So I'll have a wee look and see if there's anything else appears. So I've played it for a bit, and this wee guy has appeared and just killed us there. And this is something I do not remember from playing it back in the day, but I must have possibly got this far, I can't remember. But this is a little kind of land speeder that comes up behind you and basically grabs you up the rear if you don't get out of the way in time. And the trick is to jump backwards over it. Kind of, if you move forward a wee bit, you can get a wee kind of idea of when it's going to go for you. And then once you get behind it, you can shoot it. And this is something, as I say, I do not remember. But looking at, just going back and looking at some videos of the arcade game it's based on, yeah, this was something that was in the Moon Patrol as well. So we've obviously just stripped that off as well. But this is, from what I can see, just from playing the game for a wee bit, this is kind of the last thing. Once you come across this enemy and have a few screens of this, eventually you're just back to the UFOs again. And another thing is that the level kind of seems to reset after a while as well. So this is basically everything there is to see in Troopa Truck. As I say, it is a game I remember quite well, and it was quite fun for the time. Obviously it doesn't really stand up as much nowadays. So that was Troopa Truck. As I say, this is a game I played quite a bit and I quite enjoyed. It's fairly simple. It has, well, I suppose the music could get quite repetitive and might annoy you, but it's stuck in my head, 36, 37 years after the fact, so that's one thing it's got going for it. As you go through it, it starts to ramp up, new enemies appear. It's a high score challenge game, you just keep going until you die, try to beat your high score. But back in the 80s, as a way to spend a few hours playing it with your friends, taking your goal, my goal, this was certainly a game that I got my money's worth out of, I would say. And it's something that I remember quite well. So that was Troopa Truck. If you have anything to say about it, you can let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.